It's the truth about parenting. Something needs to be real for us. The truth is in the raw things that people don't talk about. This journey is not for the weak. Welcome to the Mama Jack podcast. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Mama Jack podcast. On this episode, I talk with my husband about my healing journey, his healing journey through my healing journey, and the ups and downs. There were a lot of downs, and you will learn all about them right now. Everybody, you've heard him before. If you're watching YouTube, you're seeing him now. This is my episode with my darling husband, Casey Norton. Okay, so we went through a lot over the last couple of years, didn't we?
Yes, we did. We are.
So, obviously,
Still have rings.
Obviously, we're still together,
Mm-hmm.
which is the great part, right? Mm-hmm. But that did not come without some trials.
Bumps in the road.
I'd say big potholes.
A ditch.
That might have taken a tire out and maybe messed up
some transmission suspension.
Okay, so I was obviously in a deep, dark place for a long time. Mm-hmm. From what I would even say at the end of Kennedy's pregnancy, which was all the way back in 2019, yeah. All the way through last November, really. Mm-hmm. And then even last November, it took me a couple months to transition out of that. Now, you were also feeling a lot of stuff. And I personally believe that you could have very much had postpartum depression with me, especially this last time. So can you describe a little bit? Let's start with this last time, like right before my mental breakdown. Mm-hmm. What was going through your head? Like in your life, what was happening in your life? Like we want the whole story. Like what was going on?
So with last November, before last November, basically, we had been on this weird level with each other where we were kind of just going through the motions. We were on this weird level where we were kind of just going through the motions, right? We were just going through the motions of every day.
We were
well,
there was a lot of crap happening.
We had already moved by then. I mean, we had.
Oh, so you're talking yes.
But I mean, everything leading up to it, right?
Mm-hmm. We were like zombies that were kind of.
We were zombies, so we wanted our own place. We wanted out of where we were staying, just so that we could continue on with our life and start our life anew with four of us. And that didn't come with
what we thought it would come with.
Yeah.
Which is work.
Yeah. We moved here and I didn't know anyone, so I had to immediately reach out to everyone that I possibly could find that was even industry related in Atlanta. And that took a while to come to fruition to have anyone really reach out and have anything work with that. But there were just economic reasons that kind of hindered me from getting the work that I wanted. And also I didn't know enough people, but also they were kind of already, by about last year, they were sort of already preparing for a potential strike, which there was 2 of them congruently, lasting about 6 months.
In the move, we had spent all of our savings.
We moved twice.
After the move, because of no work, we had nothing.
We liquidated our stock portfolio.
Yep, everything gone. Because
just to stay afloat.
So we're thinking that we're moving to this place, and oh my God, like living is so much less expensive, but you're going to be making the same amount of money. And then we're not making money. And then I can't get a job because I can't get my license. And then, my postpartum depression, I could barely move. So what was going on in your head at that time? Like, how were you feeling about yourself? Because you're supposed to be the provider and all of that stuff. What was happening with you?
Felt like a failure and that the walls were caving in and that everything was completely out of my control, even though I was trying to grasp control of it every single day. I wasn't being lazy about it, right? I was looking for work. I was applying for every job that I could. I was trying to get my foot in any door that I could. And it took me going through depression and getting diagnosed with anxiety and depression as well to start my, medical routine for that.
But what did that look like for you before? Like the stuff that, I mean, people can be going through with their wives and they don't even notice, like, because you were pretty dark. So can you explain some of that? Like what you exactly were feeling to finally be like, I need to be on medication. I need help.
Well, I didn't want to be here anymore. I I had felt like a failure. I felt like this, and it was all in my head. I felt like a freeloader because I was, constantly asking family for help, and like, which I'd never done in 30 plus years. I'd never done that. And it was I was going through a lot. I mean, I was driving for Postmates, I think, or DoorDash, whatever. And the money was, horrendous. And for what I was putting on my car, it was so stressful that I was just trying to do anything that I could. But I didn't want to get a normal 9 to 5 because we didn't move here for that. Like, we moved here so that I could continue my career on, right? And it wasn't until really Christmas of like a month and a half after we moved here that I think that's about when maybe that's not when I started, but that's when my depression really hit hard. It's because I couldn't provide. I couldn't do what I signed up to do.
Yeah, but what was going on in your head? Like, describe the emotions you were going through.
I don't even know if I mean, just sadness, and I was anxious about every single day waking up because
Defeat.
yeah, total defeat.
Mhm.
It didn't matter what I said or what my resume showed or who I reached out to. There's only so I can't force anyone to hire me. I can't force anyone to bring me on or give me a chance. And those that gave me a chance really helped me out for sure in the short time of being depressed. But I felt that everything was on my shoulders, and there was nothing I could do to alleviate that pressure.
And that was the first year.
That was the first year.
That wasn't even going
into yours.
Yes.
Right.
So then you have a year of your wife. I was a zombie. Like, I've already talked about that. I was a zombie, a complete zombie. I was totally on autopilot. I was unhinged. I would scream about anything and everything. There was a time that I was ripping my hair out. There was like, I didn't want to be here, and it was obvious I didn't want to be here. Somehow I kept it together and I did what I had to get done. Whoever was involved with that process, not of this world, I'll tell you that much, because I don't know how I even did that. And that must have made you feel a certain way because I'm your partner. Like, were you so exhausted and depressed that you felt like it was a burden?
Absolutely. Yeah, I did. I was actually just going to say that. And I felt, of course, I feel bad saying that. You're my partner, you're my wife. But I did. I felt like the kids couldn't help. They were too young to do anything. Everything was literally all on me. And then if you were a depressed zombie ripping your hair out over every little minute thing that happened, and all I was trying to do was provide so that maybe you could get help, or so that we could not be in this position where you're pulling your hair out, right? I felt like it had something to do with me also. So that drove me into the darkest places I've ever been.
And what did you end up doing in that dark place?
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
I wrote out a plan for our life insurance policy for after I'm gone. I figured money's better there. I can allocate it all to make us debt free, and you guys can live wherever for a couple years, and that's that. And then you're better off without me, and I'm better off not here.
Which was, knowing my story,
But
I was in the same boat.
And that was my thing.
Yeah.
There were times, I mean, I've told my therapist this, there were times when I would deliver food up to a really high building, and it would be a open center, and I would look and I would go, wow, That could be a way. And then I would snap out of it and go about my day. But those thoughts were coming in like crazy.
And with us both being in such a like fight or flight mode, really, at this point, both of us were in a fight or flight mode. We were both thinking about leaving each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'd be better off, or I'd be better off without you. You'd be better off without me. Like, do you keep doing this? And I mean, I don't blame you. It was years.
Well, we've been together for so long. It was like, it's almost like an investment. It's like we've invested so much time, so much of our lives together, that is it worth cutting the ties there or pushing through? And we were both really close. I mean, I know that. I mean, I feel like we would have still worked stuff out, but once you put that into motion, it's kind of already, so I'm glad that didn't happen. I really am.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting that we both had those thoughts and neither of us actually shared those thoughts I shared those thoughts.
You shared those thoughts quite a bit.
I wanted to run. That was my thing. I was always like, I'm going to take my kids and go. I'm going to take my kids and go. I'm going to take my kids and go. But that wouldn't have done me any good because I still had all of that crap in my head I had to deal with. So like, it would have just been like probably even more unsafe for the kids just to go with me. And I know you were probably thinking that, and you were probably thinking, if she goes and she takes the kids, like, what would I do? Would I fight for custody because she's like kind of out of it? So something that I wanted to bring up to you, because we had talked about this a little bit, was it made me feel a certain way when you said you wanted to divorce me. Now, I have said publicly on my podcast that I don't know how you did it. I didn't think I would be able to sit through the same thing. So I completely understand where you're coming from. But it kind of broke my heart and felt like you were giving up on me in a way.
Of course.
And I understand. I totally understand why. Like, I totally understand why. But
in my opinion, thoughts are just thoughts. It's when you actually put them into action that it becomes troublesome.
Yeah.
Everyone has, what are they called?
Your thoughts.
Not dark thoughts, but they have, what is it? Anyway. Intrusive thoughts.
Yes.
That's a big thing now. Everyone has intrusive thoughts, and that's just a fact of being human. It's just our minds go crazy sometimes, but it's when you actually put action into that it becomes real. And luckily, we didn't do that. I may have had a plan, but I didn't even do step one. You know what I mean? Like,
I didn't even know what step one would be. Leave with the kids.
Yeah, yours was just leave, and I was like, what?
Because you were frustrated, I was frustrated. So I like spent my days trying to hold it together so much. And then when you did work, you would come home and you would be so upset and angry. And then I would be met with that. And I'm already overstimulated. And I'm already like, my brain was just like a freaking like dust storm of shit, like of depression and anxiety and suicidal thoughts and all of this crap. And like, then guilt for not being a better mother. And it's like, then I have this spouse that's broken. And I was like, what do we do? Like, I'm sure you were the same way. Like, what do we fucking do? So what did we do? I had a breakdown.
While I was on set and I couldn't leave. Which, like, literally, like, it was the crazy time.
So whenever I told you what the therapist said, what were your feelings like going through your head at that moment when they were like, you shouldn't be around the kids alone. You need to get a psychiatrist, get put into inpatient or go to the ER. Like, what were your thoughts going through your head at that point?
My thoughts were, I was happy and glad that a professional had looked at the whole situation and was able to evaluate based on that. But I was, it was sort of, I was happy that it was the beginning of, that was a stepping stone to the right direction, but I was also really even more stressed out and depressed and upset because the thought of you being locked away or being in an institution or whatever, or having to leave, like that was so much more pressure on me. And I just couldn't win. And I kept getting, I mean, I freelance, but I kept getting jobs, and then they'd pull days. And then so it's just like, we would have this idea of, oh, we're going to be okay for the holidays. And then I'd have several days ripped out from under me. And that, along with what you were going through, and all I was thinking about was money, money, and how much money we were going to be burning, and how we didn't have any, and how, what the fuck was I going to do?
Mhm.
You know?
So I went to my retreat and I came back. Did you feel me being lighter that instant when I walked off, like walked into the house after that?
Yes, it wasn't exponentially, but it was moderately. Yeah, it was a
And
huge change, and I'm glad you went, because I know you were on the fence about it, and I told you to go just to get away from the kids. Even
mhm,
seriously, it was fine. And when your therapist told you to go, I was like, yes, you need to absolutely go. It's a change of scenery, which you had not had. I get a change of scenery every time I go to work.
yeah.
You know, I might be around people I don't like, but I'm around more people that I do like, and I'm around people that can talk to me and have a conversation, and I don't have to just cater to them wanting a snack, or going potty, or whatever they needed.
All the
You were going through
craziness.
so much, and I just wanted you to. I didn't want you to go at first, before all this happened, and then when this happened, and the retreat was coming up shortly after, I was like, you need to go, please, like, be around your friends, meet them, hug them, they'll care for you. Just get out, get away,
Yeah.
and it's
Just
okay.
being around other moms,
Totally.
and it was a healing space.
Mm-hmm.
So that it was like therapy in itself.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, I put a lot of spiritualness into my practice. And what would you say is the moment that you started to feel better, like after I started to feel better? Because I know there was some like transformation in there. Like I remember talking to you and you would get super defensive, and I was like, no, 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 no. Like that's not how I mean it at all. Like it's, I'm just talking to you, but I didn't blame you because it was probably almost like a PTSD thing.
It
Like I
was.
have to learn who this woman is that is my wife again, because I've been dealing with this depressed, anxious soul for 4 or 5 years almost.
Will
And
snap at you for any reason, so
yes.
you're just walking on eggshells the whole time. Of course I would get defensive. I didn't know if I was in the wrong, or if you were being, or if you were joking or being serious, or what was going on.
And that's lightened up. So when do you remember like a certain time or a certain moment where you were like, holy shit, like she's actually getting out of this. Like she's actually getting out of this.
Well, after your episode, I guess, or after the day that you had your mental breakdown, um, I was not on meds yet. You had just started meds, so yeah, you were like extra zombified
Mhm.
for a little bit,
Yes,
because you were
I
like
was
on some
drugged.
new stuff
Yeah.
for like a week at least. But then it kind of let up, and you started, that really helped out a lot. Like that was almost instant, actually. A week or two later, that it started to really help you out. And then I was still going through my stuff because of no work, and we all knew that this thing would happen, with the strikes would possibly happen, and everything was kind of shutting down anyway for the holidays. And so I was already still depressed from that. And you told me to get, I think I kind of broke down to you, and was just like, what do I do? Like, I'm doing everything I can. I'm busting my butt, and I'm not getting where I need to be, where we need to be. We were going through so much financial stuff too. We couldn't keep up with our bills. Like, it was bad. And you told me to go, you said that I should talk to uh, someone, and my therapist or whoever it was, and possibly start an antidepressant. And so when I started therapy again, and we talked about that more, that became evident that I was anxious and depressed as well. And since then, maybe a couple weeks after I started, that is when I started to feel better. And I started to really be able to reprogram my brain, and how I go through every day with meaning. And I make every day count. And I try not to dwell on the bad things. I try to find the silver lining in everything. Right. I think that's been pretty noticeable. But
So do you feel like my healing process has helped you at all?
1,000%.
In what ways?
You're much more calm and collected and thoughtful. And you've really become the woman that I fell in love with again.
Yeah.
And that's huge. Because I thought I lost you there. It had been basically since I left for Mexico before Kennedy was born for that job. You know, I was kind of getting shit from you from then too, because, you know,
Yeah, well,
it was
I
all on
was
me.
alone a
You
lot.
were alone a
Yeah.
lot, and it was all on me. And I was on vacation because I was away in Mexico, but I was working. Good, you know. There's only so much I can do. I'm in Mexico. I'm gonna eat tacos and drink beer, but
And I was just pregnant and like,
pissed off. Yeah, just seething back
and
back
then we
home.
had to move and you were on Big Brother and I was like,
Yeah, then we had to move because of mold, and we had to break our lease early and deal with that. And we moved the month Kennedy was born.
yep.
You were 8 months pregnant, packing a truck.
And then he was like 6 months and COVID happened. And
Yep.
then we ended up moving when I was pregnant with Harlow.
Because COVID opened our eyes. We were paying for all these amenities that we couldn't
like-
get. And we were like, what are we doing?
We went through a lot of shit in the past couple of years. Like a
4
lot
years
of shit.
since Kennedy was born.
And it could have broken us very easily.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it did break us. But I think it's fantastic that we both had this little thread that just wouldn't let go.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always thought to myself, I was like, okay, let's say we get a divorce. I need to be in a relationship. Not need, but I like to have comfort with somebody. And I was like, but Casey's my best friend. Like, we're going through bad times now, but like we reached a point, or I reached a point in my healing journey where I was just so clear and so happy again. And I looked at you and I was like, damn, I got a good one. And I was like, I want to go on dates with this man. We need to make out. Like all of this stuff. It was seriously like, I don't know about you, but it was like we just started dating again, but like better than when we just started dating again, because we had gone through this huge battle together and like the other side finally seeing it. And I
know.
you know, we still go through little things now, but like it doesn't seem as bad. Does it seem as bad for you? Even like, you know, with the strike and everything. I mean, I don't even think you took that as hard as you would have a year earlier, you know? Like you really dealt with that well.
But I mean, the car accident that I was in last year actually probably saved my life. And I'm almost going to cry saying that, because if we didn't have that settlement, I don't know if I'd be here.
Yeah.
I really don't. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people, we lost a lot of people in our industry lately. It sucks.
Yeah.
That car accident saved my life.
Well, things happen for you, not to you. That's the biggest thing that everybody should be thinking about all the time. No matter how shitty it is, you're growing, you're healing. Every time you heal, you feel more freedom on the other side. Like life can suck so bad, but finding that silver lining and everything, finding it in yourself. See, that's where I feel like what changed in you is I keep instilling in you, I'm like, yourself. What are you doing for this? Like, are you meditating? Are you doing this? Like, I'm up your ass a good bit about it. And then I back off because I don't want to force anything on you, but I just know what worked for me so well. And I was like, oh, I know this is going to work for Casey. And even when you got that, like, he got the 369 book for manifestation and affirmations.
On my own, too. I didn't even
when
really
I saw it come in, the shadow workbook, too. When I saw that came in, I was like, what the hell?
I would have never cared years ago. I would have never done that.
And you still haven't done the shadow workbook, which I have been up your butt about because I know it will help with other things too. But the whole point of this is that, God, we went through such a shitty ass time together. And I feel like we're at the other side now. And like spiritually, I feel like lifted. And I don't know about you, but like I literally stand taller. And I feel like the energy shift in our family, even with our kids,
Mhm.
is so different. And it's just been, it's looking at something horrible that happened, but we grew so much from it that how can we not have gratitude towards that situation? And now we're still climbing, right? But like, I feel like in the future, when we hit that and like, I'm going and you're going with work and we get to that level, it's going to be like that story.
Mhm.
Like, we're going to have that story, that people talk about. Like, Jackie and Casey, they work so hard. They do all these great things, especially for the community. We're going to start like nonprofits and everything. And it's just like they started from nothing. We had stuff, we lost stuff. It's a very American story, I feel like, right now with a lot of people. And it's just up from here, baby. I don't know if that's how you feel
It
too,
is,
but
and not to backtrack, but you know what? I don't even think I was on meds when Bon Bon died.
yeah,
I think that actually broke me the most.
yeah.
He was such a little shit, but I we had to put him down because we didn't have money.
Bon Bon was our cat.
We didn't have money to help him. His insurance, we would have to foot the bill and then possibly get reimbursed. I barely even had money to put him down, but I didn't want him to suffer. And so when I took him to the vet the last time, and I knew it was going to happen, it completely broke me as a human. I can't help this cat. I can't help my cat. He was young. He was 4, 5, something like that. And that completely destroyed me. I felt like the biggest failure back then. And you can use this or not, but I think that was my breaking point in my depression. And then when I was told, talk to someone, go on meds, do what you got to do.
Doesn't have to be forever.
I know.
So it's just a tool to help as much as you need it. And I think it's really important that we talk about this stuff and people can see that there are times that are very dark in relationships. And it was like, I didn't feel you there, but I knew you were there. And just knowing that you were there annoyed the shit out of me at the time, but still I had comfort in that, if that makes any sense at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's kind of how you felt too. It's like they're there, they're doing shit that I can't control, that is like beyond me, and I'm in this rut, but they're there. And I have somebody here with me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not doing this alone. And we had a lot of help from family, thank God. And our friends, like my friends really stepped up, all of my friends. And I think now, being at this end, we can say, like, it's starting to become a beautiful journey.
Oh yeah,
And
it's been a beautiful journey.
that,
Communication is the biggest thing, though.
yeah,
If we didn't both randomly decide that we just need to sit down and talk about all the shit that's going on,
yeah.
like with our financial shit, like we had to really just sit down and be like, no, this is where we're at.
And
We have to figure this out.
it was funny too, because I feel like communication, because we communicate so well and we'll just bleh, spit it out, that also, it didn't hurt us, but it fueled the fire a lot too.
For some stuff.
Because we like couldn't just hold it back.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, no. And now I know when like you're upset or something to give you space. And then we can talk about it at another time, And for me, I mean, I don't get that upset very much anymore. I have my moments, but like, it's just like, I have this whole new outlook on life. Like, I don't need that part of me. I feel emotions when they come up, but it's more understanding them and living through them and then understanding everything around it. I have this reflection period instead of just like jumping. Because before I definitely jumped all the time. It was like here, there, Like I go from like sitting there all quiet to like it was like a demon bursting out of my mouth. But okay, well, I'm happy that you talked about this today with me, babe.
Me too.
I think it's going to help a lot of people. And God, if you
They say it's hard, and you really, you don't know until you've been through it. You don't know until it's happening at that moment, and you're like, oh my God, we are in the thick of it right now.
yeah,
And what are we gonna do?
because not only are we going through stuff, we have kids. We're finding out stuff about our kids that's happening. We're dealing with that. It was endless doctor's appointments. It was endless. It was my son's first year in school. So endless sicknesses and all of this shit that was just piling up between both of us. So it was not only us, but it was the kids. And this isn't everybody's story, but a lot of couples reach this point, especially with newborns. And when you're having them back to back and you start to separate. And I think for us, like communication was key. Us not wanting to give up. Like we wanted to give up, but we did. There was something inside of each of us that never pulled the plug. And there was something inside of us that never pulled the trigger. I don't think either of us have gotten to the bottom of that yet.
About why?
Yeah.
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay.
This was my at the time thinking, right? This is not now. Now we're fine. We're great. But at the time, it was more of a hassle than just trying to push through. Because I was already, I just couldn't handle that. It was kind of financial too. Like I would have been completely screwed. Everything would have been everything, but both of our family would have been completely screwed. It would have been such a nightmare and a headache, and make you question: did we do the right thing? Was this worth it? So instead of doing that and crossing the line that's been drawn in the sand, why don't we stay on this side and try and figure it out, and then we can both go together.
Yeah. Let things simmer down. Well, it was good that you were able to put that together in your head. I know a lot of it was finances. So
I also just didn't want to date again. I didn't want another.
Yeah, fuck that, dude.
But on top of that, like I couldn't find anyone like you. I mean, I don't know. It's been so long. I didn't really care to start looking again. I didn't care to start rebuilding my life in that way. I'd rather try and figure it out with the one that I made vows to.
Yeah, and that was me too. Only mine was more emotional outbursts and wasn't thinking it through fully. But now we're in a better place and we smile all the time and we flirt and we have fun with our kids and we know I'm getting better at giving you more space, but we know to give each other the space we need to mentally do what we have to do to be able to show up for the family. And you really respect that in me. And I am doing better, I believe. There was a long time where I was like, you're on vacation, you're at work, and I'm trying to do better now. So that is my promise to you that I will still try to do better.
I need you to shadow me one day on set. I really do.
I understand. I used to work on set. I understand. I watched the camera operators and all the camera crew. You guys were always so freaking late at everything that I would just be sitting there like, come on, camera people, get your shit together.
We're not late.
But now I understand it wasn't like that was built into the day, first of all. And you have a lot of shit to do when you're making moves. So whatever. But thank you so much for being on here. And I love you so much.
Thank you too.
And I'm so happy that we're on the other side of this and we get to it's a story now. It's not our life.
It's just a little chapter.
Next chapter, baby. It's our next chapter. I'm so excited. Welcome to the end of another episode of the Mama Jack Real Raw Parenting Podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Remember, parenting is a journey filled with ups and downs, and it's okay to make mistakes along the way. The Mama Jack podcast is here to provide you with support, guidance, and real-life stories from fellow parents who are navigating the challenges of raising children. If you have any questions, topics you'd like me to cover, or stories you'd like to share, please reach out to me. I love hearing from my listeners and incorporating your experiences into future episodes. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Podpage, all under The Mama Jack, TheMamaJac. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, you're not alone in this journey, and together we can create a supportive community of real, raw parents. Stay tuned for more episodes filled with laughter, tears, and everything in between. Until next time, keep being the amazing parent that you are.